Killers Anonymous, written by Andrew Adams and narrated by Chadwick Polson. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chip, and I am your secretary. I am also a recovering killer.
Hello, Chip.
Rows of unenthusiastic audience members greet in return with a combined monotone. Before we begin, let us take a moment of silence for our fallen victims who could not join us today. Groans roll through the rows of occupied folding chairs in their meeting hall.
Why would the victims be here anyway?
Someone in the back comments. Well, Ronnie, they couldn't be here even if they wanted to, and you know why. Because you murdered them. Now pipe down and take a moment of silence. They all sit quietly and uncomfortably while Chip briefly lowers his head. Fantastic. Now we can begin for the evening. As many of you are aware, Killers Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experiences with each other in hopes that they may defeat a common enemy and help others to stop killing people before the electric chair calls your names. The only requirement to be here is a shared desire to put your past behind us and strive to be better versions of ourselves moving forward. Now that that's all over, would anyone wish to share? The floor is yours. Chip walks across stage past a whiteboard that says, 3 weeks since last incident, and takes a seat in his chair. A woman takes the stage with hesitation and accidentally clears her throat directly into the microphone. She stares through the several rows of similarly minded addicts in the dimly lit meeting hall. Hello, everyone. My name is Zoe, and I am a murderer.
Hello, Zoe.
Hello, Zoe. Thank you. I have not killed in 71 days, though the urge has been overwhelming lately. I stare at each of you now, and I would just die to slit your throats and peel your facial skin back over your skulls. No offense. A few grunts, chuckles, and inquisitive remarks echo back. Anyway, pardon my manners. I just miss it so bad, you know? Nothing in life has any meaning anymore. It's like I'm searching everywhere just to find something that can fill that void. So far, nothing. But what I can promise to you all tonight is I won't give up. That is incredibly brave, Zoe. Thank you for speaking tonight. Chip applauds from the other side of the stage. I feel better already. It is fair to say that nothing will ever compare to dismembering male prostitutes, but attending these meetings is helping me cope. You what? Someone whispers from the front row. That was my thing, you know? I used to patrol for male prostitutes downtown and take them to hotels, remove their fingers one by one, then move up to the wrists, elbows, and shoulders. Seems a bit silly now that I haven't done it in so long. Unenthused before, everyone in the audience is now leaning forward and enthralled in their seats with eyes wide open. Goodness, there wasn't a Saturday night that went by for what seems like years where I wasn't out driving the town and looking for hookers, trying to find that special one. You all know what I mean. That feeling where you would rather kill yourself than not be able to kill that person. Hearty agreement ricochets back at Zoe. The energy level in the room multiplies, causing Chip to break a bit of a sweat. Thanks, Zoe, but I'm not done. Then I found the one. His name was Raoul, and he was the reason I feel compelled to kill still. The one I compared each successive victim against. My muse, perhaps. Raoul almost seemed to enjoy losing each one of his different colored fingernails until he eventually lost consciousness. I kept reviving him as long as I could, but the little guy just couldn't hang on after a certain point. Anyway, I've been chasing that thrill ever since. Tell us more! We need more! Ronnie hollers from the back. Several others clap, while many of them just breathe heavily and rub their sweaty palms together. Zoe grins. No, thank you, Ronnie, Chip interrupts, dashing to the microphone. Zoe has had a turn to speak, and now we need to give others an opportunity before our rental time is up. Anybody else? A bit less provocative?
I would like a turn.
A twisted man lumbers to the stage. Fantastic. A newcomer. So nice of you to share tonight. Go on, the stage is yours. Chip returns to his seat adjacent.
Hello, everyone. My name is Otis.
Hi,
Otis.
They return. Otis scrunches his face in discomfort at the booming, singular voice.
I have not murdered a human in over 200 days.
Applause all around the hall. Congrats, friend. You've come to the right place. Chip encourages him.
Thank you. However, I kill small animals every day. Right before I came here, I killed one.
You what? Chip responds with gritted teeth as the crowd begins to turn. Get him out of here! Get the fuck out! He shrieks as several massive men grab the kicking Otis and launch him out the front doors by the back of his shirt and belt like a scene from an old slapstick film. They all applaud once again as the stranger plops on the pavement. I am terribly sorry, Chip continues, but that will never be tolerated here. Who's next? Please, anyone who can cleanse the palate. One hand raises from the precise center of the room. An inconspicuous-looking man who had been there a time or two, yet never spoken until this evening. Yes, sir, come on up. The slightly undersized man stands and turns to his right methodically, walking in front of several killers with an air of nihilism in his step, as if nothing in the world is of concern. Clear framed glasses and a little boy's haircut adorning his head and face, even the largest and most hardened individuals in the room feel slightly inadequate in comparison. What's your name, friend? Chip greets him. E. Erna. Hello, E. Save it. The screech of a skidding car tears through their ranks. The sound of a pin dropping could be heard, if anyone were to dare drop one. The runt of the litter declaring himself alpha in front of capitulating participants, the body of sadism incarnate, and chaos unbound taking center stage. I am a murderer, and I have been for as long as I can remember. I do not necessarily wish to deprive myself of this pleasure. Now, one of our primary rules is... He shoots Chip a vitriolic look that would kill a rattler in its tracks. Chip straightens his posture and stares straight ahead into the crowd. As I was saying, I do not wish to quit for the sake of it. Addiction is a burden I do not wish to succumb to, however. I have decided to cease as of yesterday, my last kill, and I reveled in every minute of it. She was a waitress, my final girl, if you will. I sat outside in the vehicle every night for 3 weeks, drinking my own black coffee and wishing she would be serving it to me as I observed through the glass diner windows. With binoculars, I ascertained her name to be Roberta. has grabbed the room by the throat. They wait for his signal to breathe, which is currently coming at a premium. They are already engrossed in his story and desire to kill, which is boiling over into the audience. I observed Roberta, the way she held her server's tray, the manner in which she passed out glasses of water, the way people smiled at her with genuine happiness, just happy to be in her presence. I couldn't stand it. I wanted to bash all of the backs of their heads with an iron club. Repugnant, obnoxious happiness. Nothing I hate more. And to do it in public. Hate of the highest order. A display of despicable emotion for nothing more than a plate of eggs placed in front of them. Pathetic! He smashes the podium with both fists and laser-guided missiles for eyes. Several attendants jump in the audience, startled by the outburst. Night after night, I observed and despised these people, but none more than her. Roberta, the bringer of joy with her infectious personality. I wanted her to suffer. I wanted her to pay for every bit of happiness and every smile she delivered. An equal and opposite reaction paid in full. And then some. Roberta, the name of rumination as I repeated it to myself ad nauseum alone in my car. I watched for weeks longer, salivating at the thought, The moment when I would finally end her life. Electricity jolts through the room as countless killers lean forward in their seats and listen with bated breath. Thank you, EE, but we must be moving on now. My visitors share how they're coping with the stress, not about how great the stress was, you know.
Finish the story! What happened?
Someone anonymous shouts.
Give us more of that shit!
Ronnie echoes. EE turns to the confidence-ridden Chip with a smirk and continues.
What? You want to know how I killed her?
Yes! Nearly every onlooker recites in catatonic unison.
You want to know what happened next?
Yes! They all nod in agreement.
Stab me in the leg,
one of the women whispers to her immediate neighbors.
I lurked outside that diner for 19 uneventful nights with my hands tied, waiting for the precise moment I would know to be right. It's a special feeling, and unmistakable against anything else. Words cannot even begin to describe, though I suppose I will try nonetheless. That final night, her final night, she bounced out of the restaurant so overly pleased just to be herself, I nearly gagged. Nothing could have prepared me for what happened after that.
Christ almighty, man! Tell us what happened!
Ronnie bellows, tense and sweating. Several others appear to be quite pale and unwell. Yes, we are just about to get there. Please stop prolonging my story with interruptions. So, she walked to her car, happy as can be. I watched vicariously. She reached for the handle and pulled it slowly, saddling herself in the front seat. Little did she know, nor any of you, I had been watching from her back seat each night before, pressed flat to the ground in secrecy. 18 evenings before, I rode to Roberta's house, yet lost the enthusiasm necessary to follow her inside. Something about not seeing her serve people, no smiles on either side, neutered my desire to kill. She was boring alone, listening to the car radio in silence otherwise. No cheer, no happiness. Each night I lay hidden in darkness, yet lost the urge by the time we got to her house. EE turns and glances at Chip, who is staring back in anticipation with both eyebrows raised, exactly where he should be. This night, however, I felt ready to blow like a stick of dynamite. So I leapt forward and attacked that charming bitch in the driver's seat, pouncing on her as she yanked the wheel and tossed us both in a ditch. EE explodes with energy after a night full of reservation. Most of the room gasps. Dangling upside down, he continues, I choked her unconscious and climbed out of the vehicle with my own forehead bleeding. Euphoric, I stifled howling laughter in favor of dropping to my knees and riding the vibrations of joy that the smiling woman would smile no longer. Cheers erupt as the tide of the room turns to anarchy. But, my dear friend, dangling limp upside down inside her own crashed car, what was I to do with her? She might have died before someone found her, sure, but what kind of climax would that be? So I grabbed a piece of jagged glass and nearly sawed her fucking head off. Kill! Everything you see must fucking die! The front row springs from their seats and frothing at the mouth, leaping over their chairs and attacking the second row. Toby crushes Richard's windpipe, Damien stabs Mia in the ear, and Zoe beats several others to death with her chair. Stop! Stop it! You all have worked so hard on your recovery! Chip screams. You're ruining everything! EE smiles devilishly at the podium, observing the pendulum of chaos he set in motion. He watches as someone lays on the floor, flat on their back, while another places a chair leg in his mouth and jumps on it. He stares while Ronnie rushes the coffee pot and smashes the scalding liquid over his neighbor's face. Pandemonium and discordance everywhere. It makes him grin. the members of the room rapidly drop of unnatural causes, from 36 down to 22 in a heartbeat. The bodies build mass in the center of the room between piles of tossed chairs, blood, and fallen teeth decorating the scene like an abstract painting. "What have you done?" Chip stares with pleading eyes. "God help us all." "Just wait for what happens next." E.E. grins with a snarl as he checks his watch, then walks down the hallway toward the front door, flicking the lights off on his way out. "Hello. Yes, I was the one who called you." The violence comes to a halt as every killer in the room listens intently. "Yes, I own this building and we are pleased to host your city council meeting this evening," he continues. "I am sorry to hear that your regular building has no air conditioning, but I am sure that you'll be quite comfortable here. Please walk down this hallway and I'll get the lights behind us. That's it. Just keep walking." "Mr. Erna? We're in the room now. May we have the lights on, please?" "Yes, of course." He flips the lights and immediately turns to pull a steel shutter across the exit, locking the prey in the room with the predators. Blood-curdling shrieks and terrible screeches ripple through the confined space of this living nightmare as the townsfolk gaze upon the carnage strewn about. Shredded remains and blood puddles lay at the feet of those still standing, who salivate and stare at the trembling newcomers. "Have at it," E.E. says to the crowd as he strolls by on his way back to the podium. "Have a blast!" Ronnie charges forward, but slips on a bloody hand and gets trampled by the ravenous survivors advancing. The city council members scatter, yet are trapped by the stampede flanking them from all sides. Zoe ambushes the mayor first and hacks him apart, then ravishes the mayor's aide standing directly behind. Toby bludgeons the secretary while someone else E.E. has never seen demolishes the mayor pro tempore with a broken mop handle. Several council members cower in wake of their impending fate, yet to no avail. The predators before them have been starved too long by the one who held the chains, Chip. Damien, the largest of the bunch by a fair amount, lifts a body of slight frame off the ground and uses it to beat the remaining council members to death, turning to threaten anyone else who would dare attack him from behind, swinging the corpse through the air and catching Baron in the head with the crack of thunder. A sharp whistle pierces their ears. They turn to see E.E. standing proudly center stage, staring down at the body farm he propagated. "Listen up! Who here feels neutered? Because you are. And you have been for some time, you bunch of eunuchs." The man closest to the stage takes offense to the accusation and charges E.E., who cracks a smile so slight in the corner of his mouth, nobody in the room catches it. He pulls out a blade as the man leaps on stage and rapidly cuts a gash in his face from ear to ear. E.E. immediately pounces on the fallen assailant and rips out his esophagus with his teeth, standing with a grin and throwing the throat out at the crowd. "Any more of you eunuch motherfuckers have anything to say? No? You are at the top of the food chain, or at least you were, until this tiny, pathetic man took the knife to you and clamped the chains on while you weren't looking." He turns to point sharply at Chip, hiding behind his chair. "My only question is, why? And how? How did 36 godless murderers fall victim to his sweet talk and nonsense and allow yourself to be caged like misbehaving house pets? Absolutely revolting." "E.E." Chip whispers from behind the chair. "I don't think you know what you're doing." "Oh, I know exactly what I'm doing, Chip. Why are you all killing each other? He's the one who pushed you to the edge of the cliff. Haven't you ever thought of killing him? E.E.? What kind of man strives for nothing more than to control others? And you're okay with that? Ronnie, I can see you breathing. Get up." Ronnie hesitates and stands with a sigh, falling in line with his colleagues. "Do you see how complacent you've been? Set yourself free and kill this man. Take his life and toss him in with the rest of these sheep." The dozen still living killers rally behind their de facto leader's speech and storm the stage with whatever violent weapons they picked up along the way.
Everyone, let's take a breather. Remember your steps. In your recovery, whenever you have been wrong, you promptly admitted to it. Now is one of those times. Who is this person that has been allowed to walk in here and take advantage of you? That's it. He's trying to control you.
Chip attempts desperately.
Ronnie, how many meetings have you been to now? You would have been swinging from a rope if not for me.
Ronnie, Zoe, Damien, and the others continue forward maliciously with evil grins. Ronnie reaches the stage first and breaches Chip's safety wall.
EE, call them off. Ronnie!
Nobody changes course. Zoe climbs on stage, then Damien, and then 9 violent others with a mind on vengeance. Leading the pack, Ronnie holds a chain in his hand and turns to EE for approval.
What are you looking at me for? You need my permission?
Embarrassment compels Ronnie to swing his chain and strike Chip across the neck. 11 others behind him accept the open invitation to strike their former mentor with broken glass, knives, screwdrivers, and the back of a chair. They slash, slice, and hack him apart like starved carnivores, all trying to get a piece of forgotten livestock. Down goes the counselor in a ball of flames, killed by those he swore to save. EE pulls a pistol out from the back of his waistband and blows a bullet through Ronnie's forehead, causing him to fall on top of Chip's deceased body. 10 more bullets rip through the air, and 10 bodies hit the floor in a heaping dog pile on top of Ronnie. Zoe stares at EE, visibly shaken, yet still standing.
Congratulations, Zoe. I have chosen you. That many killers living at the same time? Ridiculous. You are free to go, in the most literal sense, and continue doing what you do best. Conquer. I'm free? Zoe stammers. You are free. Carry on the tradition, and be well, Zoe. May you live a life of freedom. Say it. I will live a life of freedom? Good. Now go. Enjoy it. You've earned this.
EE acknowledges with a nod. Zoe takes several quick steps away, but turns back before leaving.
Why, though? Why me? Why not, Zoe? Why not? You're alive and nobody else here is. Now go.
She sprints down the hallway without another word, before something else bizarre happens. Zoe had been one of the biggest believers in the program, her recovery, all of which are now ashen remnants floating in the rear view. EE strolls across the stage and kicks Ronnie in the side of the head with a chuckle. He digs Chip out to lift him off the floor and plops him back in his chair, with one leg crossed over the other and a hand placed judgmentally on his chin, staring down at the pile of bodies on stage. The Great Hall, so recently vibrant and booming, is now quiet as the interior of a sealed coffin, and EE much prefers the present company as well. He hops from the stage and carefully maneuvers one arm from each body to point accusingly at Chip, surveying the room one final time with his arms folded. He nods in approval and hits one light switch to leave the room dim, but still visible for whoever should enter.
This is my best one yet,
he decries to nobody, then turns and walks proudly down the hall.